across the fence, we dip into a homegrown sauce that mixes Vermont's liquid gold with spices of the Far East. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. Hot sauces are supposed to be hot. One of the hottest flavors, meaning the most popular, is Sriracha. Walk down the aisles of any grocery store and you'll spy the spicy sauce in chips, crackers, and chocolate, as well as beer and booze. Here in Vermont, there are a couple of hot tickets in Rutland who have found a way to make Sriracha even better with maple syrup. Across the fence's Keith Silva has our story.
From chips to dips, and from soup to nuts, Sriracha is hot.
Sriracha has become sort of this mainstream style of hot sauce. It's almost like the new ketchup.
And in some cases, it is ketchup. Sriracha is made from chili peppers, garlic, vinegar, sugar, and salt. Its popularity in the U.S. is due to David Tran, the founder of Huy Fong Foods. Tran, a Vietnamese immigrant, developed what's commonly called rooster sauce, the first name in stateside Sriracha.
Lower those down a foot. Yeah.
Jackson Whalen and his business partner, Lenny, Big Lenny Montori, run Vermont Maple Sriracha in Rutland. As the company's name states, it's a very Vermont take on the ubiquitous sauce.
Our hot sauce isn't that spicy by hot sauce standards. You're not going to regret it a day later if you have Vermont Maple Sriracha. And every bottle is unique because every harvest of peppers is different. So we might get a batch of jalapenos that's slightly hotter than the last one, but because we don't add anything like xanthan gum or any of these thickeners or water to it, we can't adjust the heat. So the heat is what it is. It's relatively consistent, but we've had batches at a certain point in the season where the peppers just happen to be hotter.
It took Whalen and Montori 7 tries before they got the recipe to their liking. It's personal preference that guides their business decisions, for better or for worse.
Everything we do here is how would we do it if we did it for ourselves. So when we first started making Sriracha, we would buy these bushels of peppers. And after a pepper gets picked, the first thing that doesn't look good on it is the stem. It starts to dry out. So traditionally, if you're manufacturing hot sauce at scale, you clean everything, but you throw the stems in with it, you grind it up, it becomes part of the sauce. When we were making this, 10 gallons at a time on Lenny's stove, we cut every stem off because that's the way we wanted it because we were going to eat it ourselves. So the same reason, that's why we kept the recipe simple, because we make it like we'd make it for ourselves. Now in terms of economics and profitability, that's kind of coming around to bite us, but we keep reminding ourselves that the reason that people like it so much is because we did take the time to cut the stems off. We did take the time to figure out how to make this natural sauce, preserve it naturally, and not put artificial ingredients into it. If it's not something we would do for ourselves, then we don't do it. So that's sort of the guiding principle of everything we make here.
The production of Vermont Maple Sriracha has gone from being made on Big Lenny's stovetop to a nearby commercial kitchen. Here at the Vermont Farmers Food Center, west of downtown Rutland, Whalen and Montori have built a facility to process Sriracha-flavored cashews, what they call Sriracha shoes. Expansion was another decision that wasn't in the business plan or done by the book.
What business plan? I mean, it's really entrepreneurship by gut. Everything we've done here, we've been told was not possible and that we shouldn't try and do. So if we had paid attention to all the business books and business planning advice that we've gotten, you and I wouldn't be standing here and we wouldn't be making Sriracha shoes because we wouldn't have been able to take control over it. So we've kind of had to throw a lot of that out the window. And specialty food's a particularly brutal, low-margin business to begin with, so you have to have a little blind ambition,
At $10.99 a bottle, consumers have to show a little blind faith as well. Whalen says customers tell him it's worth every penny.
Yes, our hot sauce is expensive compared to other hot sauces produced at a giant, massive scale. But I think the people that appreciate it value what we put into it and are willing to keep supporting us. So we've been really encouraged that things have continued to grow. We haven't had any artificial spikes where we've crashed really hard. That's an excellent question. Why do we keep doing this? And it really is motivated by the response we get from the people who are eating it.
If there's one thing to say about Vermont maple sriracha, it's not too hot, but it sure is getting hotter. In Rutland, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
You can order Vermont maple sriracha from their website, which is listed on your screen, or you can call 802-483-3060. And Vermont maple sriracha is also available at co-ops and specialty food stores across the state. Our next segment also involves food. The Green Mountain Farm to School program is getting ready for another summer of the mobile Lunchbox. The program started in 2013, and that's when Rebecca Gollin first told us about the Lunchbox and how it's helping to keep kids healthy.
It's harvest time in northern Vermont, and things at the Garden of Urban Farm in Barton couldn't be much better.
We're not quite the Garden of Eden here.
Travis Urban and his wife Catherine have been farming for 4 years and running their farm as a business for 2.
We put a cooler in this year, a 10 by 12 walk-in cooler, so the produce is a lot fresher when it does get to a destination.
The Urbans are finding their niche in the community and growing their business at a rate they can handle. For the moment, they both have jobs off the farm.
I didn't grow up a farmer. I've been building and remodeling my whole life. And my wife's actually a physical therapist. So we kind of fell into this just because we love doing it. And, we want to make sure that we do it right.
This is basically all Garden of Urban salsa. It's his tomatoes, this is cilantro, some onion.
Not far from the Urban's farm, Megan Stockco is preparing food for an upcoming farmer's market.
It'll be chicken with fresh salsa and cheese with some just cabbage on the top for texture.
Using local ingredients, Stockco will produce several options for her customers. That her kitchen is a bit small is no problem for Stockco. She's used to that. The Lunchbox is like any restaurant, with a couple of key differences.
On a typical day, I usually come here early in the morning around 8. I load the truck up with fresh water, make sure we have enough propane, kind of check the vitals for the truck to make sure that the equipment is working.
Besides the fact that it's on wheels, the biggest difference between the Lunchbox and most other restaurants is that at the Lunchbox, they give the food away.
We know that summer can be a really hungry time for many in our community.
Catherine Sims is the executive director of Green Mountain Farm to School, the organization that operates the Lunchbox. She spearheaded the effort to create the program, from getting it funded to finding a vehicle to retrofit. The truck itself is multi-purpose. It's a commercial kitchen and traveling farmers market. It's also a place where kids can come and get a free meal during the summer.
We're able to offer free meals for kids 18 and under that feature all local food, so it's returning dollars back to our farmers and making sure that kids aren't going hungry.
You could hide anything in a tortilla.
The food at the Lunchbox isn't just for kids. Anyone can buy a taco from the truck, as well as the produce used to make it.
We didn't want to just be a restaurant. That's not really the entirety of the mission. The mission is also to say, okay, this is great food. This came from your neighbor's farm. Here are the raw ingredients sitting on this table that we use to prepare this food. Like, I will be selling this very cabbage that's in the tacos tonight at the farmer's market.
That cabbage was grown at the Garden of Urban.
We really love working with them. They work hard to try and help us to move produce. They come and pick it up. They've done a lot of footwork to get people to buy it from us so that we don't have to do that anymore. We've gone and had forums and classes that they've helped set up through UVM extension. And that's why we got our wash station set up here. We've got a triple wash station for all our lettuce and greens.
This is the second season that Urban has been working with Green Mountain Farm to School, as well as another program run by Sims called Green Mountain Farm Direct, which focuses on distribution. The connection was made in typical Vermont fashion.
I weatherized Catherine Sims' home when she built a new home a couple of years ago. And right afterwards, I was talking about the farm to my representative at Pool and Lumber. And he said, oh, you should talk to Catherine Sims about this thing because she's doing, this great vegetable program with schools and such. And that's Catherine Sims. I think I know that name.
Megan Stockco tells a similar story.
One day I was at an antique fair and I ran into Catherine Sims and she said, "Have you checked your email lately?" And I said, "No." I was living without electricity at the time. And she said, "Well, I just sent you a job description."
Now Stockco and the Lunchbox travel daily throughout the summer to communities in Orleans and Essex counties.
The Lunchbox has been visiting sites across northern Vermont every week, pulling up in our truck with fresh and prepared foods at senior meal sites, low-income housing sites, community centers, bringing food to where people are already gathering and showing them how to cook it and making it affordable.
In addition to the Lunchbox, Sims and her team are working on a number of projects and initiatives to bring new food options to some of the underserved communities in the area, what are known as food deserts. Those projects include working with schools to establish gardens and providing education on growing and preparing produce. They also help farmers with promotion and distribution to local markets and institutions.
In the Northeast Kingdom region, one of the biggest challenges is people's access to marketplaces or access to markets that have fresh local food.
Linda Merlin is the director of the University of Vermont's Center for Sustainable Agriculture. She's looked extensively at the food systems around Vermont and says that ideas such as the Lunchbox can begin to address some of the issues that can crop up in food deserts.
A mobile market, while that seems like maybe a small answer to something, it really does address a significant challenge that exists in that region, because it's not only that there's this, dispersed population, and it's not just that it's a depressed economy, and it's not just that there aren't a lot of stores there, it's also that there aren't a lot of distributors going to the few stores that exist, and therefore we just don't have the diversity of foods that people are interested in seeing.
For Catherine Sims, the key to creating that diversity lies in the partnerships she's formed with as many farms and organizations as she can. One example is the extensive work Sims has done with agencies that work with seniors. Through these partnerships, seniors can get coupons to use at the farmers market.
Here in the Northeast Kingdom, where I spend a lot of my time, is definitely in need of whatever help they can get.
Jenny Nelson works in agricultural policy and rural development for Senator Bernie Sanders. She worked with Sims to pursue some of the grant money that funded the Lunchbox.
We were more than happy to help her because the senator feels so strongly about local foods, about helping small farms to find markets, and most importantly, to have access to local foods for everybody.
Nelson says that the project appealed because of its focus on helping farmers, as well as getting local food to all parts of the community, from schools and hospitals to prisons and senior facilities.
This farmers market goes to quite a few of those senior meal sites, so it's just another avenue where seniors can buy local fresh produce, as well as all the different communities where they set up shop.
I like the carrots. They're good because I love fresh carrots. The onions. I like the small yellow potatoes.
Connie Riley lives right up the street from the market in Newport. She's come just about every week this summer to pick up some produce.
They gave us $5, so I use pretty much all them up, and I like the fact that I can use my food card, and I get extra if I spend over. So it's nice, it's fresh.
Though it's still in its early stages, the Lunchbox is showing promise and getting positive feedback from the communities it serves.
I'm hoping that this mobile truck will be an example that can be used in other parts of the state as well.
Bringing good, healthy local food to our communities, I think, is a no-brainer. It's a win-win. It's good for ourselves, it's good for the health of our environment, it's good for the health of our community. The challenge is that the devil is all in the details. There's lots of innovation that needs to be happening, and it's happening on the ground all over Vermont to help make local food a reality for every Vermonter.
learning to overcome the challenges of living in a food desert, and eating well along the way. In Newport, I'm Rebecca Gollin with Across the Fence.
Thank you, Rebecca, and thank you for joining us. That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. I'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.